Well, I'm so stoked. Sean, I've talked to you about Crust, but Rebecca, I haven't talked to you about Crust and you together because Sean, you had nothing but amazing things to say about Rebecca with this film, not just in terms of performances, but in terms of just filmmaking. But Rebecca, I wanted to hear from you about getting involved with Crust and like how that started with you and your journey with this beautiful, sad movie about a sock monster puppet.
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks for chatting with us. I'm a huge fan of yours, so this was really cool. Yeah, so Sean and I have known each other for quite a few years. We were acquaintances, we'd go to each other's birthday parties and we had the same management, but we weren't like close friends or anything. But we're just fans of each other, I think. And back in 2016, they did a table read for the film, and he had asked me to, play a smaller role in the movie, and I was happy to be a part of it in any capacity. It sounded great. And the night before the table read, he called me and he was like, the actress who's going to play Neela can't make it. Can you just step in and like read for tomorrow? And I was like, absolutely, knowing that this like was not my role, but I'm just going to step in and just, have fun and see what happens. And for whatever reason, we just kind of had a chemistry on the day. Like there was just a kind of a
I have
pop.
to stop you for a second though,
Yes.
because when you're doing a table read as a director and a producer and stuff, you're running around getting the tables ready, and people are coming in. Hey, how you doing? And you sit them down and stuff. And Rebecca came walking towards me, and I go, "Hey, are you okay?" And she just looked at me with the most serious face and said, "I love this script. I love this character. I know it's not mine, but she's absolutely wonderful." And she was like blank in her face, like very determined when she said that. So I was like, wow, okay. So then continue.
Yes. Thank you, Sean. I did do that. Yeah, so I don't know. It was just I think we just understand each other. We both play roles that are, often a lot younger than we are. We've kind of been, play quirky, kind of oddball characters for a lot of years, which I love. Not gonna say I don't love that, but no one has given me the opportunity to do this kind of part. So
Yeah.
anyway, we did the table read, nothing really happened with it. And, fast forward to December of 2022, he called me up and he was like, "We're making the movie in May. Will you be Neela?" And I was like, "Yes, I will." It was kind of one of those things where you're like, it probably won't happen. And if it does, I won't be the part. But it just kind of full circle came back around, which is really beautiful.
That's amazing. That's so cool. Because I know, again, like Sean, I know when we spoke, this has been kind of percolating for a long time. So that's so cool,
Yeah.
Rebecca, that you've kind of been involved, or at least like around the project for so long. Well,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're right though, because you play, Rebecca, so many characters that are like either scary or like a bit part, which is great. But
Mhm.
it's so cool to see you be like a romantic lead in a horror comedy, but you're still
Yeah.
like a romantic grounded lead here. And so for you too, Sean, like you guys are much more grounded than I think I've seen in a lot of other performances. So that's got to
Probably,
be
yes.
good for you guys as actors to tap into that kind of
Right.
different part of yourself for something that is a silly movie, but you get to be the grounded part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like some people that didn't understand if they didn't understand the town, they're like, I wish if it was going to be wacky, I wish it was more wacky. If it was more serious, I wish it was more serious, which I don't necessarily agree with,
Yeah.
because my favorite show was Twilight Zone, and everything in Twilight Zone was grounded. The
Yeah.
humans were always grounded. It was always about the what's happening and how do they respond to what's happening. And all the failed Twilight Zone is because they leaned into like, oh, there's got to be a cool gimmick. It's not about the gimmick. The gimmick is the frame, and the human being's reaction is that's what Planet of the Apes was. And Rod Serling
Yeah.
wrote, in the middle of
That's
Planet of the Apes, there's a huge diatribe about why man doesn't deserve a planet. And that's the whole middle section of Planet of the Apes. It's a weird trial with the orangutans,
yeah.
discussing ethics and humanity. And so when people sometimes didn't understand the tone, I'd say, and they go, oh, that's right. Everyone,
Yeah.
this is like a comedic, dark Twilight Zone, kind of.
Well, and also like you are like in a time in a place, like very much out of time and space. Like, and I love the way the beer label is just beer. Like you
Right,
have it, like if you've seen The Substance, it almost reminds me of that in terms of just like
right.
very like basic labels like that. But again, it you the film is still grounded in parts, but there is that kind of out of time and space feeling that lurks in the
Yes,
background that I think is really interesting with playing with the tone of this movie. It's cool.
right. Well, and then look, I remember thinking, when I wrote it, it was Hollywood. And then I started to go, gosh, I really don't want anyone to know where we are. When we did the table read, there were two Australian actors. And I thought, they're like, oh, do we want to squelch our accent? And I go, no, no. And I thought, and you realize Tinseltown Tonight, they're both Australian, for no
I
real
did.
reason.
I remembered that. I laughed about that. I was like, why are they Australian? Then I remembered you had said something about that previously. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense that there are randomly Australian weird newscasters
Well,
who get
I don't want,
it.
and so the thing, it was Danny Roebuck. I said, God, I just want to not get people caught up on, and he just said, why don't you say Once Upon a Time? And I thought, oh, then it's a fairy tale. And I didn't want that, but it really made me think of Star Wars. Because as soon as they said,
Yeah.
long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, you are absolved of any logic whatsoever. And the
Yep.
last show that really got me, my kids wanted me to watch so long. And I was like, it's so in the industry and it's hard to watch, is BoJack Horseman. And BoJack Horseman's the same thing. They just literally go, this is the world where animal humans and human humans walk around and deal with each other. And I
Beautiful.
wanted to have that, but I think that statement at the beginning absolves me. Like I literally had this question in San Francisco. The guy goes, hey, I mean, so when crust kills people, it like soaks up and you can't see any blood or anything. Um, you can't see any blood or anything. And it's not like, man, I go, well, when the sock monster came alive with the blue tear, maybe it was, and then I just go, I'm sorry, I just made all this up. I go, there's no logic to it. I go,
Yeah.
that's who the blue tear sock monster, my fluid monster behaves. But
Also,
it
can you
is
not forgive enough lore and background
right,
to our sock monster?
right. We're like,
Well,
shouldn't he
there
be
is
smudgy? I mean, a sock isn't that absorbent. And you're like,
Well, there is logic, but it's within the world that we've created.
Yeah.
It's like it's not
well,
realistic. Like you're not like watching a film that's like realism, right? We're not telling the
right.
story of a couple that are at work and it's just a bad day. Like this is, a fantastical world and there is rules within it. You're just let go of like this is not a, real world. This is like a fantastical world.
Well, but my real answer is he's the blob, right? We never knew what the blob did. We have no idea how it sucked people up or whatever. It was just the blob. And I said, I always thought that when Crust ate somebody, it was like the blob.
Just figured he gets synthesized into the fibers. Who knows how these
Yeah,
things work.
man.
It's fine.
I
Also,
think they go
it's a
ahead.
bunch of like snot and cum filled socks. I just
Right.
feel like we don't. Sorry to be crass, but like that is what this.
No, no, no. Look, Alan Ruck, you know, when he said, oh, I love this script, it's so funny, but it's so gross. And I go, I don't think the kills are that gross. He goes, dude, it's made out of all gross bodily fluids. And then I put
So
I was,
smelly. Like, can you even
yeah, and
imagine?
I was doing St. Patrick's Day and I put a hat on him and I go, see, how can you hate him? He's so cute. And he said, that is a drink made with Irish cum instead of Irish cream.
Oh, it's so gross. Oh, it's so gross, but also incredible.
But I never want that to be the main thing because I
Oh
do
yeah.
make sure that people see that it's like my sweat and my snot and my blood and it's like all of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
So
and what was it like for you interacting with both of you, really? Like, with the puppet, though. I mean, like, how like that? I just want to know because I know
well,
it's a
okay,
puppet. It's
so
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 cool,
I
just a sock puppet.
I had the monster in my closet for like we tried to get it going. Me, Felissa Rose, Charles Chudabala, Aaron Mento, those guys. We all tried to get it going in 2016. we had a small Indiegogo, made a couple $1,000, and then but I had the sock monster in my closet for waiting and waiting. Then when it was time to go, I thought, gosh, is this thing going to be adjusted? Anything? And went to the puppeteer, and she was like, no, it's fine. It's I don't need to gut it or anything. I mean, I'm talking it's like
I didn't realize
five
you'd had
ten
it since
pounds. It's
2016.
yeah, it's heavy. And the producers, some of the investors and stuff are like, you don't pay that much for a puppet. Like in a movie, you don't pay that much for a puppet. And I go, this is called Crust. And it's not like you go, here's ET. We're going to give you a ton of money, cut back on the ET itself, but make sure, And I thought, so I said, okay. So I went over to her house and I did an interview with Crust as Crust. And I said, are you feeling happy today? And his eyes opened and he danced around. And I said, uh-oh, someone's trying to break in the laundromat. They're really mean. And his eyes went mean and he went, "Oh," and when they did all this stuff,
That's
and then
so
they
cool.
sent it right to the producers and they're like, yeah, give her what she wants. And I go, yeah. Because the whole movie, if it's not me and Rebekah, it's me, Rebekah, and Crust. That those have to work, or the structure of this film doesn't land. So when she came to set, and the first time I worked with her was on the bed, the scene where I meet Crust after the first night, and I'm sitting there staring at each other. And then when she started moving stuff, it was nuts. And that was my night one. It was like my first shots were lotion and things like that. But then my second shot was my first actor I worked with was Crust. And it was amazing. And I was so excited because Rebekah and I had rehearsed a lot. I was excited for her the next night. And just to have her support on set was so meaningful to me. She always jokes because I said, it was such an easy night for me, meaning the support. And she's always like, I had all the lines. And all I do is sit there and go, yep.
I had several big scenes. Yeah. That. Don't mind my cat, who's now jealous of that we're talking about someone else.
Right.
Something other than her.
My cats also might make an appearance, so we'll see.
Yeah, they all have to. She's pretty mad right now. No, I was gonna say, working with Rachel, who is our puppeteer, was incredible. I mean, it's so it's so amazing to be able to work with an actual puppet versus it being like a green screen or a tennis ball, or like just pretend like it's over there. I mean, but actually having something to interact with you. And there were times where, like, my first scene with Crust was later on in the film after we've been in bed, and he kind of peeks around the corner and he's is watching us. And so she's around the corner. And so all I see is Crust. And we did her coverage first, thank God, because my face was like, oh my God, and I'm like not in character at all, like doing terrible job. Because I'm just like so enthralled with watching her bring him to life. And, she never was behind a green screen. She never was, she just tucked herself into corners or behind beds, or just, she's incredible, absolutely incredible.
The only thing she did as a cheat is maybe run some extra socks down to maybe her elbow. Yeah. But literally, she was never on green screen, never greened out. She was always right there. Yeah.
I love
her little monitor to watch. Like
her little phone monitor, like leaning up as she's lifting stuff. I mean, it was insane.
Yeah, she's incredible.
And we would let her. It got too hard for me because I'm directing as a director, but she's directing as Crust, looking up at the scene from her point of view. And I finally said, guys, we're never going to make our days. When Rachel works, the set is hers. I just abdicated directing just because she had special needs that I couldn't address. So she would say to the camera guy, yeah. Can you just tilt it a little this way? Can you do it? Okay. All right. We ready? Okay. I'm going to do a series. Okay. You know what I mean? And she would take over only because it didn't make sense for me to try to see what she's seeing in the context of the thing, of the shot. And so I would just let her take over whenever it was specifically for Crust.
That's so cool and so smart, right? Like making your days, and especially on a set like
Yeah.
that, you're like, just
Well,
do it. You know what you need. I will just let you do what you
100%.
need to do. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. And you have to trust your people. And she had proven herself on night one. And as soon as she proved herself, we were like, oh, she's got this. It was never, oh, guys. And she'd be like, what do you need? Okay, let me think about it. And she'd have this little sewing table in the back and she'd sew something on the arms and, whatever, and then come back and be ready to go. It
What
was
was
great.
the sock budget on this movie, though, for real? Like, there's just like socks coming out of mouths,
I
socks
think
coming like
not
just
too many, probably like $60 because they were a bunch of like Walmart
the
huge
big
packs of
packs.
white
I was
socks.
gonna say, how many socks did you guys go
Yes.
through? Because that is a
Yeah.
lot
Yes.
of, like, not just on Crust, but just like Melissa Rose pulls a sock out of her mouth.
Oh
It's
my
just
God.
so many
Yeah.
socks.
That was so fun because we and her only rehearsed our first scene, our emotional first scene where she's
Yeah.
mad being upset with me. We never rehearsed anything else. And it was our last day. And we were, she's a producer. So she's like, come on, we got to make our day. So when it
Yep.
was time for the, asylum scene, I didn't really have time to talk with her because we were like tracking stuff out, how we're going to do the shots. And I said, hey, are you? And she goes, I'm good. I got it. And she just and I said, oh, and when we do the shot, I want to make sure. She goes, just go, just cover him. And she just went, shoved it in, and she was so gung ho fearless. It was unbelievable. Like she took over that whole asylum scene because I didn't tell her what to do. She just said, where do you need me? What do you? Okay, great. And she just went for it, 100%.
That's so cool. And you have such a cool cast here too, with like actors like Dan, like you've mentioned Dan Roebuck, Melissa Rose, Rockman. It's just got to be so cool also to work with friends and also professionals who are just like
Yeah,
ready to go, ready to
yeah.
go, ready to go. You
Well,
obviously you
Shantae,
guys included.
yeah, Shantae Delon from Detroiters and from
Yes.
I mean, she would show up on set with just the craziest, like her scene with me, long black gloves and a big. It's the only scene that Rebecca and I lamented that we would say, if that was in color, because when
Yeah,
she's
I could totally
meaning
see
it,
that
it's a
fit. Yeah.
bright red dress and she's a long black. She looked like Cruella DeVille. It was insane. She came in and
Oh.
she's doing that scene. It looked so great. But I my thing is I had seen Greta Gerwig earlier in the year, and she goes, when I write a script, I give it to the actors, and it's theirs, and I will help them, but it's theirs. And that's the way I think I want to work. Is that I just
Yeah.
we're not making a ton of money, and you have to love the script, which I make sure no one's allowed on set without loving the script. And secondly, I want your ideas. I want to hear what you have to bring. I want to see my agent Bynes. Very specific. He goes, I need to talk to the DP. I need to make sure I have stains on my sweatshirt when I come. And he shot that day 3, but then the last scene he shot was in eating his noodles. So he wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that there were greasy noodles. So it's on the sweatshirt for later when he does that. And then he told me what the
Um,
next brother was going to, what the brother is going to look like, all that stuff. Like he was very specific about how he was going to do these. And I loved every one. Now, if I didn't, I'd go, you know, but I loved everything he brought to the table. And honestly, Asian Vines is one of the people that people ended up loving the most, you know?
yeah. Well then, so then Rebecca, was there anything that you brought like to the
Oh,
script
yeah.
that wasn't already there? I want to hear from you about how you
What
kind
did
of
I
brought Neil.
what did I bring? I don't know. It's
What'd
like
you
weird to
do?
talk
What'd
about
you
yourself.
bring?
What brilliance did I bring to the film? I don't know, Sean. What did I bring? I don't
I
know.
mean, she wants you to answer this, but I think it was, look, she said it in interviews, and I think she can expand. She would jokingly says she's way cooler than I am.
Oh yeah. I
And,
think
and
so.
that's something that you brought to I mean, you had very specific ideas. It's just, I've been working with Rebecca for a long time. She's not a big like blah blah blue. This is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. She just shows up, and then we roll, and then you go, oh, okay. You know what I mean? She doesn't talk
Yeah.
about her stuff that much because we were working together anyway in rehearsals in an acting class. Plus, we were getting her wardrobe together through a democratic process on Indiegogo about you could submit all her
Oh.
shirts were homemade design,
Or yeah,
and
her
every
designs.
patch on her jacket was a homemade design.
Oh Oh shit, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So
So we
we
did.
were working on that kind of stuff a lot together. But
Okay.
in terms of like acting choices, definitely I saw scenes playing out differently. But what Rebekah did was do them better.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you brought to bring
I
that.
mean, one thing I'll say, because it always feels weird talking about like the things I did, but
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I'll say is like, so while we were raising the money, Sean and I were doing lives on TikTok, on his TikTok, and so anytime we would sell like an autograph or something, I would say, okay, like every time we sell an autograph, like we'll, sign it and then I'll do a little dance. And so then that became like a part of the thing where I would just like do a little like dance while I was like seated, not like get up and like, do some crazy dance. But so I said, okay, I'm going to figure out a way to put a dance in one of the scenes. Not, anything huge, but just I'm going to find a way to put this little dance I've been doing in.
And she promised these people on the live, she goes, "You look for it, it'll be there, I promise."
And it was like one of the last days, and I still hadn't found a spot to put it because it just didn't make sense in any other
Yeah.
scene. And so I don't know if you'll remember because you probably only watched it once, so no worries. But like right after we have
First,
our makeout scene after the date, I do a little like dance before I leave. So like that was like I was
Oh
like, okay,
yeah.
that's a little Easter egg for anyone that
Oh cool.
remembers the live we did like a year ago. So it's like stuff like that was really fun. But yeah, I mean, like Sean said, I'm not a big talker of like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I prefer just to do it and just to see if it works or not. Because I think a lot of times if I start to hear it too much, then I start second guessing like if that's gonna work or is that gonna, and she is a lot more, like he said, cooler, confident, way more than I am. Like so that was a fun thing to play with her, her being just much more fearless and caring a lot less what people think. And well, so you think, I don't want to give away the twist, but
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean those were some of the things that we found so much stuff on the day before. Well, another
Yeah.
thing that was really fun was so during our live, someone so in the script on our date scene, the line is like you have a very kissable forehead. So that was in the script. But when we were doing the live, someone just commented, "You have a large forehead," and we were like, "Which who?"
we're like, which one?
And of course
And
they
then we
wouldn't
were both
know.
kind of like, well, we know you're talking about her, right? And then we're joking, you're talking, and people are like, going, no, Rebekah, Sean, Rebekah, like the
Yeah.
same thing. They're going
So
here.
then we wrote that into the script of like, well, it is a
Right, the
large,
large target.
so that was really fun stuff that we were able to find like throughout the
That's
process that we
funny.
wouldn't have found had we not been doing all that stuff. So
That's so cool.
But
TikTok Live, I feel like is such a like people really do use that in such interesting ways because I've never done it. So
yeah.
it's cool to hear how you guys used it,
yeah.
not just like for ideas, but just like fundraising and things like that. Because I know
Oh
that
yeah, I've
Sean,
been
you
doing
have,
trivia. I've been doing
yeah,
trivia contests all week, movie
that's
trivia.
awesome.
People win Crust mugs and an invite to we're having our virtual premiere party tomorrow night so people can rent it and we'll be on a Zoom together and everything. So
That's so
yeah,
Yeah.
neat.
So
you
yeah.
can use it for a lot of different things.
And a lot of people,
I mean,
are mean on there. So it's it's good to
Well,
be able to
yes.
take the, like obviously that was meant to be a dig, but we like made it, something fun. So
Yeah,
well,
here's a big forehead. Yeah, okay. Well, see, I'm gonna make it a funny thing in my
yeah,
mind
yeah,
now.
exactly. That's
exactly.
and that's what we did. So
Exactly. But like our date scene, we knew the rhythms and stuff, but I didn't know like Rebekah was gonna nudge me with her shoulders and all that stuff. And that's what's so great because she's so alive and present when you work with her that you kind of can't not be available and open for what she's gonna bring. And I think we both at this point, after working together on a few things, I think we both feel that way about each other. That we fully trust like whatever choice is going to be made I'll be able to work with it. And it's not going to be something, out of the realm, something makes no sense. She's
Yeah.
very thoughtful in her work and the way she presents herself in her work, professionally and artistically.
thank you,
Hmm.
Sean. That's very sweet. Well, same. Obviously, I feel the same. I mean, that's the best is when you work with an actor that like you do your work, obviously, and then you show up and like the gift is what they bring. And it really is about them and what they're doing. And you're listening and responding to them. So when you have an actor that is open and giving and vulnerable and is alive, then it's just like everything for you. The work is pretty much done. You just have to like pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah. And we never did the same scene twice. I mean, we never did it the same.
Same
Yeah.
twice. Yeah.
So that's
What's
that's when you really know that people are really in the moment because there's no moment that's ever exactly the same. Right?
That's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
thank you both so much for chatting with me about Crust. So it is out now, correct, on VOD.
It's
People can.
November 12th. Yes. So this is airing past tomorrow. It's VOD November 12th on Amazon and other streaming platforms. And yeah, you can then it will be physically released December 10th. And you can get that on Amazon.com. You can pre-order Blu-ray and DVD. So there will be physical media coming very soon.
That's amazing. So everyone, watch it, pre-order it. All of the links are everywhere where you can find it and watch a really sweet, sad, interesting, funny movie about a sock monster and a guy who just wants love, you know?
I mean, we all need that right now, especially,
We all
right?
need it for real. Laugh, cry,
Only well,
experience the human emotions.
the funniest thing I've heard is people go, "Oh, I want crust," and I said, "Oh, I have a plushie that I've made," and they go, "No, no, 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 I want real crust. I want the sweet one that makes the little sounds, that snuggles with me in bed, and then messes with the people I don't care for."
I mean,
Well,
I would
you
love a
know it
crust
doesn't
myself.
actually come to
Right?
life. Yeah.
Yeah.
We would all like it, and Andy cleans up the mess, as we found out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No
It's
mats,
perfect.
no fuss,
Self-contained killing machine, and it's really good at
self-contained.
cuddling. It's all we want.
Yes.